everyone, and welcome to a new series from our podcast, House of Innovation. This new series is called Unbundling Innovation. Each episode is what I call a snippet. It will not take longer than 10 minutes, and it will be a reflection on topics connected to the ups and downs of innovation. In this series, my aim is to delve into the complexity of successful innovation within certain companies, but also to analyze the common pitfalls leading to innovation failures in others, and provide insights into overcoming internal barriers hindering organizations from harnessing the full potential of innovations. Hope you will join me in these reflective snippets as I will explore the essences of groundbreaking innovation, uncover the reasons behind its shortcomings in various contexts, and discover strategies to navigate and dismantle internal obstacles. Today's snippet is a general reflection on the topic of innovation and the main challenges that organizations need to overcome to become better and better at creating new value. And as you may have noticed, innovation has become a buzzword, a catchphrase thrown around with abandon in the world of business. And almost every company claims to be innovative, and every product proudly bears the label of innovation. Yet, a closer look reveals a stark contrast between the rhetoric and the reality. And as consumers and business professionals, we often find ourselves surrounded by products and services that yearn for a touch of genuine innovation. So what's really happening? Is it all just a grand play, a theatrical performance in the business world? Are we drowning in a sea of glamorous words that cloak mediocre developments and ambitious but shallow business goals? Admittedly, really now, for some companies, it is indeed a charade. And I accept the critics that may come from this, but I speak as a customer. It is true that for certain entities, the use of the term innovation in their statements should be deemed illegal due to the huge disparity between their claims and the actual products or services they deliver. But until there is an innovation police to enforce such distinctions, we will do it ourselves, as customers, as business partners, or even as prospective employees. But then there are those companies that dared to venture into the innovation paradigm. They tried to be more innovative, but only to face failure after failure. And after so numerous unsuccessful projects, the very mention of the word innovation becomes as irritating as a persistent mosquito on a summer night, or as a fly on your dish. And no one wants these unwelcome intruders in the boardroom discussions. However, before we rush to judgment, we must recognize that innovation is far from easy. It's a messy, sometimes chaotic journey that may seem resultless until, suddenly, success strikes like a bolt of lightning. And the living proof of that are the companies that have earned the privilege of not explicitly proclaiming their innovative nature. They've become synonymous with innovation. It is ingrained in our collective consciousness that those companies are innovative. And without naming names, one such pioneer has paved the way for the daily presence of smartphones in our lives. And I know firsthand that innovation is not easy. In my professional journey, I've worn multiple hats. I had to lead innovation initiatives in both large and small companies. I try to guide freshly born companies through the nuances of business growth. And today, I am advising established organizations on optimizing their internal innovation capabilities. And through these diverse experiences, I've observed that certain challenges persist across the innovation landscape, no matter the size of the company, the industry, or the region where it is coming from. And for today, we will just go through these challenges very quickly, but each snippet will address them in more detail. I will start with the first one, and the one that I consider to be the most important challenge. That is around leadership. And the challenge that most organizations face today is poor leadership and lack of vision when it comes to innovation. And this makes innovation efforts descend into chaos. Without a strong guidance, even the most promising ideas can get lost in the tumult of the day-to-day operations. The second one is the appendix innovation roles. And this might be the second time when I am offending someone today in my snippet, but I have to say it. Too often, innovation is treated as an afterthought. It is an appendix in someone's job description to add a veneer of progress. And an example of this dystopian mindset, and please, sorry, friends, colleagues in marketing, but this is really an example of dystopian mindset, is the fusion title of Head of Marketing, Digital and Innovation. Misguided metrics. The evaluation of innovation using metrics like sales numbers, new customers, patents, or cost savings is a common pitfall. And very often, when discussing with companies, I try to explain to them that the two worlds, the one of the execution and the one of the innovation, need a different approach. They need to be measured. The success needs to be measured in different terms. You need to measure innovation success through validated learnings that are putting you on a path towards a project, towards a product, a service, a business model that eventually will give you customer sales, patents, savings, whatever you wish for. Incremental changes. Many so-called innovation projects are nothing more than incremental changes, falling short of the transformative potential that true innovation embodies. Maybe this is the connection also with the metrics, because when you do something that is very close to your business model, your existing business model, it's much easier to predict the outcome. And it's much easier to say, oh, we're going to get this kind of number of customers. Or, we're going to do this kind of sales from this new product. But when the product is so new on the market, when you're trying to crack a new problem, and you're trying to bring a totally new solution to the customers, how can you still be confident in the numbers that you are going to provide? Unless you are fooling yourself and the rest of the people in the organization and proclaiming incremental changes to be disruptive innovations. But this might be also the effect of an absent innovation process. The lack of a structured innovation process hinders the development and execution of groundbreaking ideas. Without a framework, innovation becomes a haphazard endeavor. Failure. This is a strong word. Well, let's say 10 years ago, I used to say failure, and it was like one way for you to damage your career. Tolerating failure was not on the speech of any leader. Today we hear it a lot, but we don't see it a lot, because tolerating failure needs to be intentional. Tolerating failure means that we learn from what we did not do well, or we learn from the directions that were not good or meant for our organization. Because innovation inherently involves risk, yet organizations often merely tolerate failure, rather than embracing it as a crucial part of the learning process. And they do so because they reward only success. Why say that you tolerate failure? Why say that failure is good when at the end of the day you only tolerate success and you only reward success? It's the culture of rewarding only successful projects stifles the exploration of bold ideas. The risk-averse approach discourages innovation champions from taking much more creative leaps. And this leads me to the creativity misplaced. Well, creativity is often confined within the realms of the marketing department or other creative guys and boys. And it is sidelining its potential impact across all aspects of the organization. Creativity is something that you learn. Creativity is something that you practice and then you master. Creativity is not only for a selected few who were born with the more creative mind. Creativity is for everyone, and organizations need to develop this. This is a core competence, a core soft skill for modern organizations. So creativity is for everyone who embraces it and for everyone who is willing to learn it. Entrepreneurship zero. I will have a lot to say and to talk about entrepreneurship or corporate entrepreneurship. And I say it's zero because personal initiatives often become a strategic game intertwined with corporate politics, sponsorship, and the cultivation of a personal brand. What I'm trying to say is that personal initiative usually sparks within people who want to accede to a manager or leadership role. Those are the guys that need to stand out, and in order to stand out, you need to have initiative. But what if you don't want a leadership role? What if you don't want to stand out, but you just want to contribute? You want to be a co-creator. The intricate dance can overshadow the genuine opportunity for each employee to become an integral part of the co-creation process that could shape the future of the organization. Entrepreneurship is not about becoming the next CFO or CMO of the company. Entrepreneurship is about anyone and everyone who has an initiative, who has an idea, to get the space and the environment to execute on that. New business models are born when employees are empowered to co-create the future of the organization. It is such a waste of resources, it is such a waste of value and talent to decide who is going to have initiative in the organization and who is not. Create the environment, create the space, create the means for everybody to be able to have an initiative. Make it a way of living in your organization, and you will be surprised how many great ideas will eventually spark. And the last challenge, which I like, is the innovation manager role, a sacrificial offering. Well, I've been in this role. I've managed to avoid a sacrificial offering, but it is so tempting to make the innovation manager, a sacrificial offering. And while appointing one may be touted as irrefutable proof that a company is prioritizing innovation, the stark reality reveals a different narrative. Because typically, innovation managers find themselves operating in an environment where innovation receives scant budgetary allocations, lacks dedicated teams, possesses negligible influence in the boardroom discussions, and frequently, the assigned projects bear little relevance to the core concept of innovation. And the initial promise of a strategic innovation advocate can quickly transform into a challenging scenario where the role becomes more symbolic than substantive. Well, guys, this is all for today. Thank you for listening to my first snippet. The next one will be on the topic of leadership. Leadership as a guiding light and fuel for courageous innovations. But until then, stay curious, be brave, and make an impact. Because everything you need, you already have.